pioneering work of Hermann Jaeger, George Hussman, and Charles Riley is continued today by geneticists at Missouri State University, St. Louis University, and the University of Missouri-Columbia in collaboration with scientists at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They focus their research on two closely related grapevine species, Vitis riparia and Vitis rupestris. Both of these species have been indispensable genetic resources for rootstock and hybrid grape development in breeding programs during the last 150 years. In nature, these grapevines share a habitat along streams and rivers, but they occupy different niches. They interbreed, that is, pollen from one species can fertilize the flower of another species, and the resulting natural hybrids are viable and fertile. Interestingly, this cross-hybridization does not blend the two species together, because the microenvironment to which each species is adapted exerts a selection pressure on the population. As a result, Vitis riparia and Vitis rupestris remain distinct species, exhibiting different morphological features and occupying different niches. For this reason, these grapevines are well suited for research to address questions about how plant populations diverge to evolve into different species as a result of ecological adaptation. Vitis riparia, or riverbake grape, grows in rich and moist floodplain soil and develops into large vines that climb on trees. These plants remain unnoticed by the casual observer because they form foliage in the canopy of tall trees, and the only part that betrays their presence is the trunk that hangs down from the branches. Vitis rupestris, or rock grape, on the other hand, is specifically adapted to arid gravel bars that form along rivers and in dry beds of intermittent creeks. It does not grow into large vines. Instead, it forms shrubs.
And also something for, what do you think?
I think
Without hurting the
look at
plant.
these, this is like a second year maybe,
Yeah.
or like all this
This one.
together, or this.
Yeah.
Actually, if you cut this part and just all this, it's fine.
These plants also get the benefit of being pruned probably for the first time by man instead of by animals and animals.
Vitis rupestris was once common from Pennsylvania to Texas, but today is limited to small, isolated populations. It is probably sensitive to fertilizers that run off from agricultural land that are under chemically intensive cultivation. The only geographic region where it still grows in extensive populations is the Ozark Mountains in Missouri and Arkansas. When the population of a species is dramatically reduced, as in the case of the rock grape, many potentially useful genes are lost, inbreeding becomes more frequent, and the species will have a greater vulnerability to climate change. This phenomenon is called genetic erosion. Recent advances in DNA sequencing technology make it possible to scan the genomes of many wild plants, which enable geneticists to determine if the rock grape population experiences genetic erosion. Genome scan studies can also pinpoint loci of the genome that are under ecological selection. Many of these loci contain potentially useful genes for the development of grape varieties that form the basis of modern sustainable grape cultivation. Thus, the work of Missouri grape breeding pioneers did not only solve the problems of 19th century agriculture, but set the stage for modern plant breeding and conservation biology.